Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another COVIDeo where we talk about ways of coping with the coronavirus. And one way of coping has been working from home. So working from home for many people means different things, but working from home for me means teaching online. Now, one of the courses that I'll be teaching this semester is public speaking, which is my absolutely favorite course. And I do miss the fact that I won't be able to see my students face to face, because believe me, if I could, I would only teach public speaking. I like teaching it that much. So normally I'd be in the classroom face to face and I'd show students what to do and I'd demonstrate and I'd give lectures. Now that is all online, I've prepared for them a few videos demonstrating different things that I'm looking for. Now the first video that they'll have to make will be an introduction where they use story to tell us a little bit about themselves. It can be anything, it can be any aspect of their lives, but they're not going to just say, my name is Tanya, I live in Canada, I have 3 pets. I don't want any of those introductions. I want the introduction where they tell me a story, and from that story, we learn something about themselves. So I've done a story, and I'm going to show them that, and from that, they'll have an idea of what I'm looking for. So I want to show you what it is that I've shown them, and then you can tell me what's your story too. Last semester, as I sat at the back of my college public speaking class, and as I listened to my students give their presentations, I tried to not get frustrated. And I was fighting frustration because I felt like a stuck record. For the last 18 years, I've been teaching public speaking. And one of the things I emphasize to my students is tell stories. Tell a story. And I was listening to students speak and I didn't hear any stories. So when one particular student went to the front to begin her presentation, I thought, good, I know she's going to give me a story. Because you see, this was my 3rd time teaching her. And because I had taught her over 2 years, I knew her a little bit. And I knew about some difficulties and struggles she had. So I figured that she was just the kind of person who would have stories. But as I listened to her speak, I thought, oops, there's no story here. But her talk was on persistence. And she gave a textbook definition to begin her speech. She said, persistence is continuing to try in the effort and make an effort despite things going wrong. She said, it's grit, it's digging your heels in. And I stopped her. I said, I'm sorry, I'm going to stop you right there because I know you have a story. And I'm going to ask you to think about it for a few minutes and to start your speech again. And this time, begin with a story. She looked at me and she said, Tanya, why do you think I have a story? I said, well, based on the little I know about you, you've had quite a few life experiences, and I think there could be a story there. And then she said, but who says anybody wants to listen to my story? I said, well, what I do know, I don't know, but I know for sure that when people hear stories, there's something that happens in the brain and they listen. So I think you could take a chance and begin with a story. She looked up for a moment and then she said, straightened her shoulders, and then she said, when I was 16, my life changed. You see, at 16, I was living in the Philippines. I was living in a small town. 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 I was living in I grew up in a very strict Catholic home, and at 16, I found myself pregnant. And when she said that, I sat back because I knew her. Like I said, this was my third time teaching her, but I'd never heard that before. So I was taken aback only because I just hadn't made that connection. And when I sat back, I did a quick scan of the classroom. And the students who were texting stopped texting and looked up. The girl who was talking to her friend stopped talking for 1 minute and looked at her. And the boys who were slouched in their seats, feeling bored, straightened up and looked at her. Because you can't tell much about a person just by looking at them, right? Even though we do that, you can't tell the person's story. So everybody was looking and everybody was listening. You could hear a pin drop in that classroom. And we listened to her talk about how difficult it was to tell her parents, how they reacted, how hard it was for her to withdraw from high school, how hard it was to take care of her baby, especially when her friends had forsaken her. And then we listened to her talk about how she went back to school and got her high school diploma. Then she started college in the Philippines. And then she decided that she wanted to go to Canada to study. And then she told us about the application process to get the visa, because she would have to come as an international student. And then she spoke about how hard it was to get into the college. And then she said, and here I am, after years of persistence and grit. And when she said that, I just smiled. And at the end of it, at the end of her speech, I looked at her and I said, that is why I love teaching public speaking, because I love helping students to find their stories. So at the end of that class, because at the end of each class, we normally talk about, we go through what went wrong, what went right, what we need to do more of. And I said to the class, who won today for emotional connection? Everybody pointed to her. I said, I thought you said you didn't have a story. What that reminded me of was how much I love helping people to find their stories. Because you know what? Everybody has a story. Everybody has a story and they're waiting to tell. And it may not be what you think is a brilliant story, but it's your story. And that's what makes it important. It is your story and it will touch somebody's life. Because when I looked around at the students, I saw one girl crying. That was not the intention. I don't know why she cried. I didn't ask her story. But what I do know is that that student who spoke about persistence after getting pregnant at 16, her story touched at least one life. What about you? What's your story? What's your story? And why aren't you telling it? Thanks for joining me, guys, and thanks for sticking around till the end. Now you got a chance to see what I do, a little bit of what I do in my virtual classroom space. Now, quite coincidentally, the student I spoke about emailed me just yesterday. And I was very pleased when I read her email. I'm going to share with you a little part of it. She said, "Hi Tanya, how are you? I hope you and your family are all safe. I just want to share some good news. I got my final grades today from my last 2 courses and I've passed everything. I'm finally graduating. From the bottom of my heart, well, before that, she says, I can still remember my first class with you in 2018. And then she says, people thought you were so strict, but I thought you were a challenge. And then she says, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Thank you for believing in me, for being such an inspiration, and for being the best teacher. You will always be my favorite teacher. I hope that when my daughter gets into college, like 5 years from now, she'll take some of your classes. Hope you'll still be teaching by then. Yes, I will still be teaching by then. So once again, guys, share your story. You never know whose life it will touch. So remember, like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.